if you occasionally feel anxiety because of money or you know somebody that does, this is going to be a super helpful video. I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years. I've helped counsel hundreds of people and guide them into retirement. And I want you to know that you're not alone. It's very, very common, at least here in the United States, for people to have anxiety over money. And through my 20 years, I've learned some things that can really bring down that pressure and help you enjoy the journey more. So let's jump in. And the first one is oftentimes when people feel anxiety, they're also feeling down. And it's hard to get out of that loop. So the first thing is, how do you get out of that feeling of anxiety? And I'm going to share 8 things here, but one of the first insights that I've had is that oftentimes actions lead to feelings, not the other way around. So if you wait till you feel like doing something, you might not do it. But if instead you take that action and you make small steps to get yourself in a better situation to address whatever's causing that anxiety, and we're going to talk about some of the common causes, but if you take small steps, I don't care how small it is, oftentimes that'll make you feel a little bit better. And then you take the next step and the next step. So the first one is take some action to give yourself a small, I don't care how small the win is, but a win. So that's the first one. The next one is try to avoid what I call catastrophizing. Catastrophizing, I guess I don't call it that very well. But that's when you say, hey, maybe my goal was to get to this amount by this age and I'm not there. And so it's really easy to kind of connect those dots and say, well, if these dots continue, this is where I'm going to be. And, I'm going to be penniless. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be dependent on government aid in my retirement. And it's easy to what I call catastrophize and make things worse. And I encourage you not to do that because there's so many dots that need to be lived, that need to be played out between now and in whatever time horizon you have, whether that's 3 years, 10 years, or even 3 months, right? So there's a lot of things that need to happen in life, and there's going to be things that go your way, and unfortunately, there'll also be things that don't go your way. But we have a tendency to think about all the things that don't go our way when we're connecting the dots when we have anxiety. So know that some of these events in life are going to go your way. You're going to get an unexpected inheritance. You're going to get a promotion at work. Something good is also going to happen. So don't catastrophize it. Catastrophize it. I guess I chose the wrong word for that. Okay. The next one, and this is kind of part B to it, is don't amplify what's going on. So don't say, I always do this. I always overspend my budget. I always say I'm going to save and then I don't. So I call that amplifying. That's an easier word for me to pronounce. Number 3 is to come up with a financial plan. If you're feeling anxiety about money, come up with a plan and see where you're at. Now, I'm not saying to come up with a 30-year plan. That's probably not going to help much if you're dealing with anxiety. But what will help is come up with a 3-month plan, come up with a 6-month plan, come up with a year plan. At most, come up with a 2-year plan. But I think what's most important is those early steps of the 3-month plan. And just set goals that are going to be easier rather than harder to achieve. We can change them later. But initially, going back to a point I said earlier, when you take those first steps, success has a way of begetting success. Once you have some successes, it's much more likely you're going to have other successes. So I want you to come up with a plan, and then I want you to start this week. I want you to start now. If you're having anxiety about money, ask yourself, what is the anxiety? And a common one is maybe you're not saving enough money. You might think you don't have enough money in order to reach your goals. So how do you reach your goals, it really comes down to two things, right? It's we need to spend less than what we earn, and it's not enough to just save money. We also have to invest the money. So come up with what little steps can you start doing now, this week? What can you start budgeting for? What can you start saving for? If you're not investing yet, I encourage you to talk with a professional to help you start that journey because you don't want to go 20, 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years without thinking about how your money should be invested. Because oftentimes as we get older, our money can work harder for us than what we're working to put new money in. But in order for that to happen, it has to be invested. Warren Buffett has a saying that compounding, the money growing, the base of the money growing over time, is the eighth wonder of the world. And the reason he says that is at some point, you reach the point where it really doesn't matter how much you're saving because it's really about investing your money properly and having that money grow. But it takes a while to get there. If you save $10,000 a year and you get 7% a year invested in a portfolio, you're not going to get 7% in the bank. But if you get 7% a year in a portfolio, it's going to take you almost 8 years to save that first $100,000. But guess how long it takes you to earn between $900,000 and $1 million? That same 100,000, but now you have a base of $900,000 working hard for you. It takes just a little over a year. It takes like a year and 3 months, so like 15 months. So you can see the dramatic impact. 8 years versus 15 months. So start taking those small steps now. Start saving, and it's not enough to save. We also have to invest. The next thing is, I want you to invest in yourself. And maybe that's new skills so that you can make more money. Maybe it's new skills at your current company. You know that the company has a need for somebody that can do certain things. And maybe if you went to a couple weeks of training or something like that, your company might pay for it. That's going to help improve your earnings, but also skills to help you with life here. That skills like taking time for yourself in the morning. Skills like choosing to exercise. I'm not a physician. I'm also not a psychologist. I should mention this, but having been a financial advisor as long as I have seen the things I'm sharing with you help dramatically. So and when you exercise, if you choose to exercise in the morning, the evening, whatever it is, oftentimes when you least want to exercise is when you need to do it the most because it'll release those endorphins. It'll release those hormones and chemicals that put you in a better space of mind. So choose to invest in yourself, both long-term and also short-term. The next thing is choose to be active and be thoughtful and deliberate about what you're doing. We talked about movement and exercise, and that can help you, but be thoughtful and deliberate. The term that's in vogue right now is mindfulness. Be mindful and choose to be active. Choose to do the things that you want. I'm going to share some things here in a little bit. You're going to learn some silly things about me, about mindfulness, that I think you'll find fun. Okay. The other thing is I think people personalize things too much. You know, we talked about, I always do this, or not catastrophizing things too much. I got to quit saying that. But the next thing too is quit personalizing things. If you get a bill in the mail or something like that, don't think, oh, I've got bad money luck. Bad things happen to me with money. The reality is bad things happen to most of us when it comes to money, but so do good things. So don't personalize these things because it just puts more pressure. Now, my favorite ones, and this sounds a little woo-woo, but it's some of these self-soothing things. Having a before bedtime routine. Maybe we turn off our phones and we read a book to relax. Journaling or meditation, or how you choose to spend the first 30 minutes of the day and having you time. And here's where you're going to chuckle. I'm going to give you two things. One of the things I like to do when I'm feeling stressed and I want to relax, I like to take a bubble bath. I know it's not very manly, but I enjoy doing it. So that's one thing. The other one that's completely different is I like to take a cold plunge in cold water. I know it's vogue now, but I live up in the Pacific Northwest now. And they've been going in that cold water, and it really does reset, for me, my mental attitude. So sometimes doing hard things, don't do any of these things without consulting your doctor, your therapist, or psychologist. But I just want to put them on your radar screen. I hope that's been helpful. Another thing about enjoying the journey is enjoying the journey until you get to retire. It's not a destination, it's a journey. It's not about crossing that finish line, retirement, or what I like to call the starting line, but it's about enjoying the journey. And that's why I made this video here. 8 things to stop doing in your 60s to enjoy the journey more until you get to retire. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.